Welcome back to the Better by Next Week podcast, where this week we talk about all the secrets that we keep. So this episode is super jam-packed with a heap of insightful stuff and some secrets that we tend to keep from people and ourselves on our runs and things that we do. And we kind of wanted to delve into that.
I'm super pumped for this episode, and I've been super pumped in general. We've got a lot going on with the all-new review. I'm planning everything. I'm just getting super pumped. So, yeah, this episode should be some fun.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to really thank the community because you guys have got behind us and we've been able to reach out to a heap of brands for the all-new review, which we'll kind of touch on later on in the episode. But, yeah, thank you to all you guys. And even just the feedback. People are getting back to us and saying that, you know, it's gotten like the Pain Cave episode got them through a 100-mile run. We've had people reach out saying that they're binge watching, listening and watching episodes. So it gives us that kind of feedback, just gives us a heap of energy to kind of bring back to the podcast and allow us to reach out to brands and just get more free stuff for you guys.
We love looking at the numbers on Spotify going up, on the listener views. And, yeah, we love to see, looking back at a couple episodes, how even at our first episode, Why Better, is getting so much more views. And yeah, it's just incredible. Like Phil just peaked over 2,000, I believe. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, so it motivates us to keep going and coming up with new content and things like that. But how about we get straight into the episode? Let's dive straight in. Our first secret that we keep is, you know, everyone can relate to this, but the gear and the shoes that we try and hide from our significant other or sometimes from our kids because they sometimes dob us in. So it's a tricky one where how do you hide the stuff without getting in trouble?
Well, Dad says dobs you in. I didn't purposefully dob Dad in, but a story that I've had for a while now is I remember Dad always buying stuff and Mum wouldn't know because obviously Dad's buying new shoes, he needs new shoes and now probably has too many shoes, but I would go in his room. I'd be looking for like my own pair of shoes or my own pair of clothes, and I'd go and look under the bed. I don't know why I would look under the bed. I'm like, oh, there's a little sneaky little Hoka box there,
shiny new box.
Yeah, so I bring it out and not knowing that Mum hadn't known, and I'd be showing Mum. I'm like, oh, this Hoka box. What's this all about? And we had to look, and it's like a size 9.5, and yeah, we found out that you had a new pair of shoes, and I'm like, oh, shoot, I just dobbed them in.
Yeah, well, that'd be like the one pair of shoes. But a good way to avoid getting in trouble, and I know it's a bit of tongue-in-cheek stuff, but take your stuff to work. I've got a heap of shoes, right, underneath my desk at work that my wife doesn't know about.
Hey, whoa. She listens to this podcast.
Yeah, I know. She knows anyway. But do that. That's always a good one. Another way to avoid getting in trouble is sending it to your mate's place. And what you do, you help each other out. So they'll send it to your place. You send it to their place. And when it arrives and your significant other looks at these shoes and says, hey, I thought you weren't buying any more shoes. You say, oh, Joel from work, he sent them to our place. You know, he didn't want to send them home. So it makes it look like the other person's the one with the problem, not you. And then your significant other tends to say, hey, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's funny because you're almost putting them as the view as the bad person, but realistically, you're just helping each other out. But no, that's a really good solution for this. And yeah, I don't have too many because I don't have a significant other, or I'm not trying to hide stuff from you because I have to go through you to
well, the thing is, and also from when you're trying to bust me, I just buy you some more stuff, and then hopefully.
Well, no, I don't bust you anymore. I'll see like a box in the recycling, and I'll actually take it out to the outside bin so that Mum doesn't know.
Oh, thanks. Man.
So I've developed and I've evolved into
that's good.
Not dobbing you in.
All right, cool. Yeah. So that's one solution to that secret.
Yep.
So next one, it's a little bit not as happy and joyful as the last one, but the post-event blues. We've spoken about this a few times and how to work past it, and it's a really tricky one because everyone does it differently because it depends on how the event went. If you feel like you didn't go well at the event, you can feel flat because you didn't meet your expectations, but you can also feel flat even if you have a good event because you've been all pumped up, and then it's kind of this kind of not feeling that great. And you've felt it before, haven't you?
It's an interesting topic because everyone like it's a secret. It's the biggest secret in ultra running because everyone's coming off this high and everyone expects you to stay on that high. It's like, oh, you achieved so much in your race, or maybe you didn't, but you still had a great race, but you still feel this sadness afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's something that no one really talks about. And for me at GV, I always hate to say it, but I was very disappointed with the result I got because I had such a high expectation. And coming off of that event, it hurt the most because the next day I was able to move. My body was completely fine. I wasn't broken physically. It was the mental that had been broken. So yeah, that translated to weeks and weeks and weeks. And it took me forever to get back into training. And I think that can be really hard for a lot of people. But
What's something that we do though all the time? We always talk about it.
well,
You know,
we both talk about it a lot. And I think a reflection is a part of that really helps. And I might have mentioned this before on the podcast, but having a little notebook, a journal to actually reflect on your whole race, right? Segment it in a couple bits. You have your nutritional issues, what went good, what went bad. Then you have physical issues, what went good, what went bad, and then vice versa with mental and all that. And that is a really good way to reflect on your race as a whole and write things down so that you're consciously aware of what went good and what went bad so that you can either keep the same things next time or improve things next time. So that lowers the risk of post-race blues because you've had such a high success. But do you want to get into a little bit of detail? Even with success, you can still have post-race blues.
Well, I think even just further to what you were saying is that the process of actually analyzing your race and reflecting can actually help you through that flat feeling because what you're essentially doing is problem solving what went wrong, what went right, and things like that. So for next time, like you said, you can kind of get through it. But even on with the success side of things, I think it's tricky because you're training and training and training, and this can also be a reason why you feel a bit flat after a race. You put all this effort in and this massive hype, and then there's this massive crash. And I've mentioned it before that to feel a bit better and to avoid those blues, if you put the goal as when I'm back in training, so that you can kind of ease back into it. So I think that's important to get past all that. But I think the best thing that you can do is just talk to people. The more you talk about it, the better you feel because you think, oh, everyone expects me to be all happy and go lucky and stuff like that. I've just done this race, and it is. It's a dump. It's like almost like a dopamine dump post race, and you feel that flatness.
For someone who might be a little bit confused on how the post race blues can happen, we like to frame it as you're in this bubble, and you're not trapped in this bubble. You can leave at any time, but you're in this bubble, and everybody in this bubble loves running. Everyone loves what you're doing. Everyone's doing everything. And it's just something that everyone can come together and can connect and just run and be happy. And I think when you exit that bubble, when you're in the bubble, like time goes by like so fast, but so slow at the same time. It's like you're on a different planet. And it's an amazing feeling if you haven't been to an event. If you just sign up for an event, any event, Charles Plus.
Yep.
Got the shirts on.
Yep. Beautiful.
Sign up to any event. You'll feel that bubble experience. And when you leave it, that's when that post-race blues happen because you're like, oh, what do I do with my life now?
Yeah, what do I do? Yeah, because you've been so invested in this one thing, and everyone that's there is sharing the same energy. Everyone's pumped. We're doing this. And, I mean, these really long events is when it tends to happen a lot. You can get it. You can feel like that though so even a park run. You go to the local park run, there's 100 or 200 runners and you're all there and all pumped up and stuff like that. And then you kind of finish, you do feel good, but sometimes you can go, oh, you know what, and it's what it could be also is that you're grasping and holding on to this moment and this feeling in time that you had this epic experience. Might even be similar to when you've been on holidays or something like that and you come back from holidays, and what do normally people do? They sign up or book another holiday, whereas we tend to sign up to another race.
But I also wanted to add, is that it probably gets worse with time as well, because with experience, you expect that same feeling to happen at this next race. So say you went to a specific race, you had an amazing, great day, fun day with a lot of people, and then you go back a couple years later and you think, oh, that's what it's going to be like. But then it's raining, and then it's not so much fun, because you're holding on to that past experience, where if you almost just let go and just go, no, it is what it is. Like, I'm going to go to this event. I'm going to have fun regardless
I'm
of
going
what
to
it's
meet
like.
new people. I'm going to, feel this new energy. I'm going to have a new achievement. Am I going to finish? Am I not going to finish? That's the excitement of all that.
Yeah. So,
So,
so there's some things up. Talk to people,
yeah,
because it's the best thing you can do. Reflection's a really good way to conquer these post race blues, and yeah, just live in that present moment, because not everything's going to be like the past, because that's what's so fun about the future.
yeah, that's right. So next one, the rock bottom run. I finally hit my rock bottom run after my last event at King of the Hill. And what I mean by that is the run that because after a race like a big race that you pumped up, you're still feeling that energy as well. So you might go out for a run and you still feel that fitness and you feel good and all that kind of stuff. But then as time passes and everything kind of settles back down in your body and things like that, you'll hit a run, and this is what happened to me last week, or late last week, and I just felt like everything was just hurting, and I was just back to square one. And it depends on how you look at things like that. You can reframe it. I reframed it in that moment and said to myself, well, this is it. This is the first step back to, not being as fit, being a little bit sore, things not activating. And I said to myself, just grind it out. This is as bad as it's going to get before you start training for your next event or whatever it may be. So I just I just sucked it up and just enjoyed the pain. And I actually found by the end of the run that I was enjoying the run, because I had just accepted that this was my rock bottom run and I start from here and move forward.
I always dread the rock bottom run. Coming back into training again, I don't like to. I'll relate it back to the post race blues. You're coming off this high, and then you're just massive dump. You're in the lowest training, fitness you've ever been, and you've probably come off a lot of junk food, and you're in this recovery stage. And you're just trying to get back out the door, and that rock bottom run is just the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But it's something that everybody has to go through. It's the process that you have to trust it.
And what happens when you kind of lead into that and to avoid it is I find it really hard after big events to get off the sugar that I've been taking, because obviously you're fueling with carbs and sugars the whole race and whole event, and the longer they go, the more that your body's relying on that. And then straight off the back of an event, I tend to, eat a little bit more sugar, because I'm like, and I don't realize it, but I'm actually kind of addicted to that sugar really bad. So if you can avoid that, that's obviously, it'll help with recovery and the inflammation and stuff that you feel on that rock bottom run, but also reflecting on that you've been here before, that it's actually exciting that I've been here before and I made it through. I remember last time I come off a 20-kilometer run and it was an awesome event. I had heaps of fun, and now I'm starting again. But it's okay, because I start again and I build. So then obviously you're not building from scratch again. You're building from the strong body that you built, or that you acquired from the previous event or the previous training block. So
I can't wait for my quote, because it relates back to this. So the next secret we keep is something I ask a lot of the people we have on the podcast and the guests in the greenhouse, and that's the sacrifices we make as runners. Do you want to go into a little bit more of a detail on that?
There's a lot of sacrifices that we make, and I wanted to touch on it because it's something that people don't often talk about, but it's trying to find that balance. A lot of us, obviously, we work, we have families, we have other business ventures that we might do, and there's so many sacrifices that we make for running. But I want to kind of reframe it in a different way, that running actually makes you better. It does give you more time. It gives you more energy. So when you've got someone, and I know what it's like because when you first start, people think, oh, you're making all these not even sacrifices. You're being a little bit selfish at times. People think, oh, you're being selfish. You're going out for these runs and all these other things. And granted, it takes an hour or two to train, and you might be away from your family or anything like that. But what you've got to understand is that it can it can often lead to a different lifestyle. It can make you make better choices. It can get you to, spend more time with your family, quality time with your family, because you've got more energy. You get up off the couch. Someone says, "Hey, let's go do this," and yeah, well, let's go for a hike. Let's get out in nature and all those things. So the sacrifices that we make for running can come full circle at the end of it, so that we can spend more time with our family, have more energy for our friends and things like that. You're a little bit different because you're younger. I'm coming from a perspective of being a family man and work and all those kinds of things. What are the sacrifices that you're making that you're finding are tricky to balance?
Yeah, so from my teenage perspective, there are a lot of things that I have to sacrifice in terms of wanting to be better at what I do. And that comes down to a lot of nutritional things and the options that I choose. It's having a date instead of a lolly. It's a lot of those healthy options because I'm trying to have boost my recovery so that I can get out the door in the next run. And although I have been a little bit bad at it recently, is the sleep. But in saying that, you also want to work hard late at night and then work hard in the morning. And that's just something that I do. It's the sleep time I sometimes have to sacrifice, but also prioritizing that at the same time. So it can be a very tricky thing to balance, but those are probably two main things that I really sacrifice to be better at what I want to do. So
You also sacrifice time, don't you?
a lot of time, I think
There's a lot of time
a lot of time I can be spent doing something like,
well, you don't play video games. Or
well,
anything
I don't
like
want to
that.
put down anyone who plays video games, but video games essentially. I'm not online social media too often, so but I guess that translates over to running, and that's my fun time now. Like
Yeah, but it's also what you prioritize. I think sometimes when people talk about making sacrifices with foods and things like that, the healthy options, they say, people are like, I don't want to sacrifice having a beer or having this or having that. There's different options that you can have. So, and then they become the things that you like. So you might, for now, you're kind of looking into all the reels that you're making for our Instagram posts and stuff like that, and you're enjoying the creative aspect that brings to it, aren't you?
Well, if someone ever wants to get out of a bad habit, and I've been thinking of this over the past couple of weeks. If someone wants to get out of a bad habit, say it's social media, the only thing, and I've said this to you before, the only thing that you can do to get out of that bad habit is become a content creator. Because I find right now,
I reckon you could put your phone down and that's how you can get out of it.
That too, but if you want to take enjoyment out of it, it's being a content creator. I find that throughout this whole week, I've had no time to scroll, right? I've been creating reels, and
that's the thing though, that you've refocused on trying to create something else. So you don't actually, it's the time that you're sacrificing that has created the ability for you to create some cool content and cool reels so that we can get, let people know that we're out here on the podcast so that we can help more people. So you're essentially, that's what you're creating. So you don't have that time. So it's the time that you're sacrificing for that and prioritizing that.
Yeah, I also think it's a sad thing though that I'm creating content for people to doom scroll on, which is a bad thing. But the idea that I'm getting at, and Dad and I had a conversation last night about it, is that we want to have our reels on pillars so that they all contain the same message, where we're talking about like a Nike ad, and it's like, what makes it so specific? And that, like, to a Nike ad, that's Nike. Why is that? Because they have these pillars that they involve within their video.
Yeah.
And one of ours is just helping people to get better. So I think that cancels out that sad aspect of me creating content because I'm trying to help people get better by next week.
Yeah, I don't know whether you look at it, you frame it as in it cancels things out, but 100%. I think that social media it's not great. I see people doom scrolling and stuff like that, and we all know not to do it. It's just like someone that smokes cigarettes. They know that they shouldn't be doing it, but they're just doing it. But social media can be great because it can help you reach a wider audience when you're trying to help people. Essentially, that's what we're trying to do with the podcast. Help people, fault find ways to run better and eat better and all those kinds of things. But yeah, there is the flip side of it. So,
Well, I wanted to bring up another secret of my own. Do you think that the Strava and Strava graph, everything Strava related, is necessary to be a great runner?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a secret everyone's keeping, that they think that they need to keep that going. However, we've actually spent the whole week doing Ben Burgess's podcast. Ben Burgess's Better by Next Week challenge, haven't we?
Yeah, so have a look at Ben Burgess's podcast, because if you haven't seen our Strava graphs recently, it has plummeted to 0. And if you want to find out why, stay tuned to the end of that podcast, because nice little reveal there.
Yeah, that's right. And we're in the middle of doing that challenge, and I've actually quite enjoyed that challenge.
Same. I think we'll come out with a reflection afterwards, and I have a pretty profound reflection on it.
Yeah, I reckon. So our next secret that we keep is, during the festive season, how do we stay motivated and fit? Because it is tough. We all know everyone's got work breakups. You're on school holidays. You've got Christmas. You've got New Year's Eve. So we want to talk about how you stay motivated through that time. And one awesome way to stay motivated is the Harry's guys from Hardcore Harry's have got a challenge where you do 1 kilometer Jan 1, 2 kilometers Jan 2, and then 3, and then you keep on going. So that's one way that I'm actually going to try and stay motivated and continue and start my year off really well.
I haven't heard this. That's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, so I'm going to do that. I reckon that they've got a really cool challenge there. But aside from that, just doing a little bit less, but still doing something, I think is the best way to stay motivated through the festive season. And also give yourself a break. If Christmas Day, if you're someone like me who tends to run almost every single day, give yourself a break. You'll be surprised at how empowering it is when you say to yourself, I'm not going to run on this day, this day, and this day. I'm just going to relax and enjoy it.
But in saying that as well, your challenge that you sent me the other week was amazing if you want to get out the door in the festive seasons, because what it was is you set one little thing each day, and it doesn't have to be major, but all those little things add up to some one great thing. And if you set yourself a little challenge each day, then you're going to get better each day. And it doesn't have to be spontaneous. It doesn't have to be a 40-kilometer run every day. It just needs to be something simple, something short that you can get through and get out the door.
Yeah, even if you've got it written down. I think we've mentioned it on another podcast before, where if you have things written down and you know that you're about to approach a time in the year where you might get a little bit loose, or you might lose motivation or fitness or anything like that because you've got a lot going on, have something written down. Even if you say to yourself, these next 10 days, I'm really busy. I'm not going to be able to get out for as many runs. Maybe I can focus on different things. Maybe today, instead of going for a hour run because I don't have that time, I'm going to meditate for 15 minutes. I'm going to do, I might do a little bit of yoga just in the lounge room. Before bed, winding down, I might try, some stretching. All these things and all these challenges that we've been doing throughout the last 4 or 5 months, they're really good ways to stay motivated. And because you've done something and you've achieved something, it makes you feel amazing as well.
There's also nothing better than doing an activity or something with someone else. When I find that I am at my best self when I'm going for a run with Dad, and take that opportunity when everyone's gathering for Christmas and everything. Take that opportunity. Take that family member out on a run.
Yes.
And,
or a walk or
a
hike.
walk. It can be anything. And it's a beautiful thing to have build that connection and that relationship with that person, but also stay fit and healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if you tell one of your family members, hey, bring your sneakers, we'll go for a jog on, Christmas morning.
Yeah, I usually like to drag out my cousins for a run some here and there for Christmas. And
yeah.
They dread it, but I love it.
Yeah, that's right. So next secret we keep, this is a big one. Everyone keeps it. Everyone denies that they actually do it, but we all do it. when you go out for a run and you come back and you look down at your watch and it says 9.97 kilometers, do you run to the end of the street and back, or do you stop the watch at 9.97? What do you do?
I like to think that I can I can just ignore it,
You don't.
but you don't. And we know one person, Chris Martin, who just always, it's like he pulls at my strings. He's just,
He leaves it.
he doesn't care. I'm like, nah, man, you gotta run that extra 10 meters for the
Yeah.
Strava tax. You
And
have to.
He's pretty good too. He'll stop his watch at 19.99 and he'll
No, I
just
think
leave
he'll
it.
stop it on the dot on 20, and then it just reduces it, so he doesn't go the extra 10.
So he doesn't pay the Strava tax ever.
But I think it is necessary, but at points you need to let go of it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And I've become more aware of that in my runs lately, where they're not a significant figure. They're not a whole round number. They're just something point this. And I've got,
Yeah.
I just did my run. I just crushed my session. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's just that little fix of just satisfaction that you might not necessarily need. You should be looking for your satisfaction elsewhere in your runs.
Yeah, because that's my actual quote at the end of this episode is very relatable to that moment.
Oh, okay. Okay, keep tuning, guys. 'Cause
Yeah,
we have some
so
good quotes.
it is. So my next one is the guilt when you feel like when you're taking a rest day. So a lot of people feel that if they skip a day and they just have a rest day, they start to feel guilty that they did it, because we tend to become super accountable. And when I first started out, I found that I'd take maybe one day off every 2 weeks or every week, where not day off, I'd actually not do the run. And I didn't feel that bad. But then more in recent times, I'll look back at my training schedule. I am lucky to skip a training session once every month or 2 months. I'll get 1 in 3 months where I'll skip a training session and I'll still feel guilty for it. I think that everyone needs to understand that if you skip a day, it's not the end of the world, and don't be so hard on yourself. It's a real tricky one, and we very often people don't talk about it, because you almost look at it as a weakness, and it's not a weakness. It is just you and your body saying, "Hey, I just need a day off," and mentally as well, I just need to refocus and have some time to myself and get away from running and whatever it is. I don't know whether beginners experience it as much as people that, a little bit, people that probably run 5 times a week probably experience it more than someone that does your weekly park run. But then even your weekly park run, those people might still feel guilty. Oh, I didn't go to park run. I wish I had gone. I think mum even often says, oh, we'll come back from a park run and we're all pumped and excited and stuff like that. And then she's, I should have gone, because she wanted that good feeling. But often, you just got to cut yourself some slack.
On the physiological perspective, you need to understand it, and it really helps to understand that the gains that you make from running or anything that you do is not actually within the training. It's those rest days, it's the sleep you get. That's where all your muscles are making those gains. So if you can understand that, where you're not just doing training. I love Dad's concept of the rubber band. If you keep pulling at it, it will break.
Yep.
And without rest days, listen to our recovery episode. God, I feel like I'm promoting a lot of my next but listen to the recovery episode, because it's amazing. We talk a lot through recovery and
Beers
why
and
rest
nachos is the name of that episode.
why rest days are really important.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that you're not going to lose that fitness. I 100% guarantee you're not going to lose that fitness if you take that day off. What you will do is actually give yourself a break, a mental break, and you'll actually feel a little bit more relaxed.
If you do feel a little bit guilty as well for taking a day off, and you might not want to take a day off, get on the cross trainer, get on the bike. It's a really good way to keep your mental self in check, but also keep those legs ticking over, and it's a good active recovery process.
And it's a good stepping stone to finally taking a rest day. Just say to yourself,
so that's the stepping stone, guys.
The stepping stone, cross training, and then rest day. Or you could probably go cross training, stretching, yoga or something like that, then rest day.
Yeah, mobility.
Yeah, mobility, all those things. All right, so next one is the weird fantasy that you have when you're running out there and you say to yourself, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I want to have a normal hobby.
I am so guilty to this. I have a story where I was running at our local bush Stiglitz, and I've actually named this segment, Why the Hell Am I Doing This? And it's up a hill. And every time I go up that hill, there's always a thought in my mind, like a subconscious thought. It's like, why the hell am I doing this? And that stems from a run one day. I went on a run up that hill. And later on that night, I was going to, for the first time in forever, I was going to jump on a video game with my friends. And I'm like, why don't I just do that? Why do I have to run? Like, why can't I just do that? But it's because I run and I go through that hurt, that not wanting to do it, which makes the video game session with my friends so much better. And that's why I do it.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way of looking at it. I don't reckon I could add too much to that because I have those moments when I'm racing, when I'm deep in a race. I think to myself, why do I do this? And all I have to do is be a little bit patient and wait, and then the answer comes to me, because when I finish that race, when I finish that training session, I feel magic. I feel like I've got more energy. I feel alive. I want to crush every goal that I've got. And I think that that's why we do it. And that's why we don't pivot and have other hobbies. We do have other hobbies, but we don't ever go away from the whole running thing, because I think it's a lifestyle choice essentially for us.
Last week, Dad and I went on a run, and I was really confused about, because I want to be great at this sport. And when I'm training hard in those sessions, I think, why? I usually think all the best love the pain. And that's what I wrapped my head around, is that I need to love the pain in the sessions. Whereas you don't actually love the pain. And that's where I was getting confused, because when I'm in there, that those thoughts of why the hell am I doing this? I hate this. But I felt like I needed to love that bit. And I felt like that's a part of me that I didn't have in order to become great. And Dad reassured me that just wait till you get to the end of that run. Yeah. Because then you will look back and go, far out, I love that. Yeah. Because that's where it is. That's where that love and passion is for running.
Because there's no one in the moment when they're in pain says, yeah, this is why I do it. This is the pain. There are moments that you might be pushing and you're like, yeah, I've got this. But they're not. No one sits in the pain cave for an hour and says, I'm crushing this. I absolutely love this. Yeah. All right, next secret we keep. I wonder if this happens to other people. I'll admit, I'll be the first one to admit that I will look at other people's Strava and I will create like a nemesis when I'm training for an event. I might be looking at someone else that's doing that exact same event. And all I do, and I often say it to you, all I ever do is comment about how awesome this person's training is. And I almost create, they don't even know. These people wouldn't even have a clue that this is what I think about, but they're like my secret Strava nemesis before an event. And I'm always saying, did you see how many Ks Matt Russell did? Did you see how much vert Matt Russell did before Down Under? Because Matt Russell was the one that I created not a nemesis because he's my good friend, but I would say, have a look at how much training he's doing. And everything would motivate me to become better and train harder, because I'm looking at his Strava and saying, look at his graph. He's doing 10,000 meters of vert. He's doing this. He's doing that.
So let us know, because I'd be interested to see, because obviously Dad has never talked about this. I've never heard that he's looked at my Strava. Actually, I did. He was always going, have you seen Matt Russell's? Did you see that, Ron? He just did. But we would be interested to see if you create that nemesis for motivation, because I think a lot of people might look at it and go, oh my God, like,
I reckon everyone
that's
does
a bad thing. And I think people subconsciously will attach themselves to somebody else and go, oh my God, I need to be them, or I need to be.
Yeah, but it's a rivalry though.
Yeah.
I think that's what
it's
excites me.
It's a friendly rivalry.
Yeah. I think if you're super competitive, you tend to do it, because otherwise, I'll do an event once, twice, 3 times a year. And it's what do I It's probably another way I motivate myself. I look at what others can be doing, and I think, they're crushing their training. I want to crush my training too, and I create that little rivalry within myself so that it keeps me accountable as well. But
It's also important to understand that it isn't arrogant as well. Like you're not looking at that person and going, "Oh, I need to be better than them. I'm so much better.
oh
I'm
no,
looking at their training and my training's better." It's not that. It's simply a motivation tool that you use to get yourself out the
yeah,
door.
but do you notice that every time I ever mention anything about someone else that's training, and I do it to you a fair bit, I say, "Hey, did you see how much vert that person did? Oh, did you see their run?" I'm always doing it from a standpoint of I'm trying to chase that person down. And you're always saying, "Yeah, Dad, but your training's great too." Like, and I never give myself credit for my own training, but I'm always looking at their graph. But if you showed me my own training, or if you did it to yourself, so if you looked at your own training and you put someone else's name at the top there, you'd often look at it and go, "Hang on, I'm actually doing pretty well as well." So I think that that's important. That's one important thing as well. That if you do have a little bit of a Strava nemesis, sometimes maybe bring up your Strava profile, put your hand over your name at the top, and then actually have a look at it and say to yourself, "I'm actually crushing it too." So because you tend to give yourself enough credit, I don't think.
Well, that's the thing that I love about the running community, because Australia as a population is very guilty to like tall poppy syndrome, which is like tearing people down. It's like a symbol for like chopping a poppy down.
Yeah.
And it's almost like with this running community, we are building each other up. Like what you just said, it's like we need to give each other more credit. And by looking at Mark Russell's training, you're not tearing him down. You'll never see a Strava comment ever that's a negative comment on Strava.
Yeah.
It's always positive. We're always trying to build each other up, and the same message will come back in a different direction. Is that we're all trying to build each other up.
Yeah, so that's a good way of looking at it. And, it does really motivate you when you kind of have that nemesis, but it's never looked upon. I don't feel like it's ever looked upon that, you're better than anyone else. You're just using that person almost as a step ladder to your greatness.
Yep. Talking about using people, is that the secret that we keep about when your mate says you're going to go for an easy run and then proceeds to race you.
Yes, that's right. I am guilty of this a lot. Every time anyone says to me, "Hey, do you want to go for a run?" I always reply with, "Yeah, we'll go for an easy run." And we head out, and I don't know, it's almost like I get this competitive red line fever kind of feeling where we're both jostling, side by side, and then that person kind of edges in front of me, and it's like a little trigger in me and go, "Oh no, I've got to be beside them," and then they look and they're like, "Oh, I've got to go," and then so you kind of keep on going, and then next minute you look down and you're watching, you're racing each other.
Yeah. This week that this happened to me and Dad and I, my grandma, jeepers. And so I said to Dad when we were driving to the Yangs, I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to take off on you because I think I'm just going to do a hard left." He's like, "Oh no, let's talk about the podcast stuff, the ordinary review. Let's just have an easy run." And I'm taking off and I can just see him ahead of me. I'm like, where's this conversation going to head? Like, are we going to have a conversation? So then we get to Big Rock, which is like the first slight climb, and I kind of overtake him a little bit. And then I just hear his footsteps coming up behind me, and he's just smashing it up Big Rock. I'm like, okay, I see how it is. I'm not going to take it personally. It's all right. It's fine. So yeah,
Well, you slowed down.
I did not slow down.
Slowed down.
I did not.
We're going
slow
up
down.
the hill. You slowed down, and I was like, "You know what? I'll just go a little bit harder. I'll just see if you can chase me."
And I chased him. I kept with Dad, and at points it was struggling, but I remember mentioning it on the downhill to Dad. I'm like,
not a single word was spoken.
Absolutely none.
For 5.5 kilometers up that climb.
Yeah.
At all. We did not talk about anything at all. All it was just grunting.
Because I actually was confused as well. I wasn't sure if Dad was going easy or he wasn't, because he did say initially, he was initially saying that it was an easy run. And then I found that I was pushing. I'm like, God, because I haven't run hills in a very long time. I'm like, God, I'm really unfit up these hills. Is he actually like feeling that this is easy right now? And I was definitely not. But yeah, I was struggling to keep up with him, and Dad was saying to me that he gets that energy from hearing the footsteps slowly get distance away from himself. And that happened nearly towards the top. I'm like, nah, I gotta push it. And I tried to catch up, and yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
both got to the
But it
top,
was fun
huffing
though.
and puffing.
Yeah, we're
It
both
was,
huffing and puffing.
it was not fun.
But it is a mental thing though, because I told you that it was going to be an easy run, and then I don't say anything. I don't huff and puff too much, and I'm like, if I look strong, then he'll think that I am strong. And then, but yeah, you were right. You got to the top, and you're saying to yourself, "Oh, am I that fit, or am I, or not?" But yeah, it's funny how when you go out for a run with people, you do tend to race each other a little bit, but no one ever speaks about it.
I love it because it's an interesting thing about how you're hurting so much, and you look at this other person, and they're all of a sudden this great figure that's just amazing. They're so strong, yet the other person's looking at you the exact same way. So I find that connection between some people is very interesting. So don't take for granted that the other person is not struggling. Like it's a suffer fest for a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
people.
I said that was the first thing I said to you when we were kind of running downhill. I said to you, I was actually struggling a fair bit there. But you know what? The energy that you have between two people that go for a run, and I reckon it's a massive advantage for people that run in groups and run because I know I've used the rubber band analogy for the other things, but you almost feel like that, like you don't want that person to get away. So then you kind of push up a little bit harder and you stay with them. And it's like that little rubber band, in and out, in and out. But if you go too far, it almost snaps and you just never catch up to them, and you kind of give up. You mentally give up. You say to yourself, I can't catch back up to that person.
I actually genuinely get anger. Like I just get this fury in me. Like I want to be supportive of him. I'm like, oh, it's great that he's crushing it. And after Doug, I'll accept that he had a great run and I wasn't. But I'll just get super angry because I feel like you should be there telling me, Ollie, you're right. You need me to slow down, but you never do it. And I'm like, God damn it. And I mean, that's just something that I need to accept because I'm getting older. I'm turning 18 and I'm an adult now. I need to put my big boy pants on.
You do need to put your big boy pants on. But you know what? That's a little learning in that moment as well. I'm trying to teach you to, use your mental resilience to stick with me and things like that.
I don't know if he's thinking that in the situation. You're probably going, oh my God, I can hear the footsteps distancing behind me. I'm gaining the energy from this.
I never feel that. I just go, no, it's all right. Let's see if you can keep up with me. Because I actually don't care if you beat me or not. So,
yeah.
But yeah. Okay, so next secret we keep is the moment that you're in a race and you say to yourself, I'm never, ever doing this again. Now, I'm guilty of this, and it's on camera by 2 or 3 times, me saying, why do I do this? I am never doing one of these races again. And
Surely you would learn from now, though.
Yeah, you would think so. Obviously, in the moment, I don't think about it enough. But I always say, I'm never doing this again. And yet, here I am signing up for another backyard ultra. So I want to talk about that feeling and how that happens. And what I think it is like you spoke about the bubble earlier, is that when you're in the bubble, it's all epic and you love it until you don't, and then you've had enough. And then you jump out of the bubble, and then the only memories that are still with you are the memories of how much fun you had and the joy that you feel now that you've accomplished this thing. And then what do? You start scanning the internet and you start saying, what race can I do next? Do you ever say to yourself, I'm never doing this again, and then you find yourself doing that?
I think in the past I definitely did, but now I genuinely stand by my choice of not doing a backyard ultra again.
Oh, I don't know. You've slipped a few times. You've said, oh, I feel like maybe doing it. I feel like going back.
I did say to Dad, I'm like, give it one last crack before I turn 18. Give one. I just wanted to extend the under 18s record by a little bit just to see if anyone else can push it even more. But I just, I had a really bad low point after that race, I think, the post-race blues in terms of not achieving what I wanted to. And yeah, I think I'm going to translate over to point because I think that's where majority of my career is headed.
Yeah.
So,
that's cool. That's
cool.
cool.
I mean, yes, there's definitely times where even in point-to-point races, you're thinking, I'm never doing this again. But that's probably at the 30-kilometer mark, and you push through and go, oh my God, I just crushed that race. And then you go, bang, internet, sign up, bang, I'm doing this next year.
Yeah, I think that I often find that point-to-point events are those events where I'll finish and I would have said during that event, I'm never doing this again. And then the next morning I wake up and I'm already signed up to the next event. I'm sometimes even thinking about what can I do next when I've already just 5 minutes after crossing the finish line at point-to-point events. Backyard ultras and the last man standing ones are a little bit different.
They take a toll.
They do take a toll. So they take at least a few days before I decide, how do I get back into this?
But I also think it's a beautiful thing because it just puts in perspective how your mind sets limitations on you and you can exceed that by miles. You think, I'm never doing this again, and then you go and do it again. Gaddy at King of the Hill, I can't climb up that hill, climbed up the hill. You at King of the Hill, I'm not getting through that next lap, gets through the next lap. It's these series of events that happen that you keep pushing past, and it just builds your mental resilience so much more. And I think running's a beautiful sport because there's two contrasting feelings that clash with each other, and it's just like, they clash with each other, but in hindsight, they work together to build you up as this great person.
Yeah, it's almost like the point that they connect is where that's the feeling that you want, that you sign up for. You want this to be easy but hard both at the same time.
Yeah,
and you can't have both. And then that's probably the moment where you go, I'm never doing this again. And then you're like, when do I sign up for the next one?
So how do you think you can probably conquer that feeling?
I don't know whether you can. I think it's just a secret that we do keep inside ourselves where we say that, that it's the conflict, I think. And I don't know, I think accepting it.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I think the only way through this is acceptance.
Yeah, is accepting that this is just how the path that you follow, that you say you're never going to do it again, but then you do. And maybe I should keep my mouth shut when I'm about to say it and say, you remember last time you said this? You went and did it again. So before we get into our listener questions, we want to have a quick chat about our all-new review that's coming up. We've got a heap of brand partners jump on board and support us for it. And the only reason they've jumped on is because everyone's liked, followed, subscribed over the last few weeks. And it's allowed us to reach out to these guys and get this epic stuff. So we've got guys like Koros on board, Ultra, Tarkon, Relay Footwear. We've got Maple Roo, Lululemon, Gooch Goo, Shocks headphones, Knock Around sunglasses, Trails Plus, and Oofus recovery slides all jumping on board.
Whoa, that was a big list. Dad had to look at his laptop for that. We have so many partners on board. It's just, it's great, but we're super grateful for everything. And get this, $2,500 worth of prizes. You want to go through that?
Yeah, so if you see us posting a story or a reel, put your name on there, share it, like it, subscribe, and you'll go into the draw because we've got a couple pairs of Shocks Open Run Pro 2 headphones. We've got the Ultras that we're going to be wearing during the race to give away. We've got the Tarkons to give away. We've got Relay socks. We've got Maple Roo stuff to give away. We've got Lululemon. Also send us some really cool stuff. Gooch Goo, Knock Around. We've got a pair of Sunnies. And Trails Plus, which is the last legend that we're going to be doing during the all-new review, have given us a ticket to MVP Backyard Ultra to give away as well.
Yeah, so this is, I'm actually, it just sums everything up. I'm just so pumped for this.
Yeah, so there's going to be a ton of giveaways. We're going to be posting a heap of stuff. And it's all thanks to all our listeners and viewers who have liked. It just allows us to go to these brands and say, hey, look, we've got heaps of listeners. We've got people that are really keen.
People who are engaged.
That's right.
That's what all brands want. They want people who are engaged, people seeing their products. It's amazing.
And so the more that you can give us a 5-star review on Spotify or share our stuff, the more we can actually reach out and the more stuff that we can get because everything that comes in, we want to give away. So,
I hope that was a good surprise, and we'll get into our listener questions now.
Yeah, we'll get into the listener questions. New to running, currently running 3 to 4 times a week, 4 or 8 kilometer runs, depending on motivation. What should I be targeting to get to a marathon? Should I run longer? And what's a realistic timeline for a marathon? Goal is to run it well.
Well, first of all, it's great that you've had this goal to run a marathon. I think right now, keep doing the 4 to 8K runs per week, but also integrating maybe a long run at the end of the week to help your muscles get used to those long runs, the long distance that you're going to have to run for this marathon. Maybe it depends on what you want in your whole heart in terms of what time you want. Like I can't base a great time for you, but I
Well,
would
I think
say
that-
if
I
you're
think-
very new to running, sorry, Dad, if you're very new to running, maybe 4 hours for around that mark. I would say if you're completely new to running 4 to 8 Ks a week and just getting into it, I would say that's a pretty ideal goal.
That's a very, very decent goal. I reckon probably pushing it maybe 4 to 5 hours. But
Okay.
I think that someone that's running 3 to 4 times a week, we spoke about on our previous episode about the different types of runs. I think that incorporating different types of runs will really help them, and then it'll allow them not to get injured as well. But if they're doing 3 to 4 times a week, pushing that 8K run out every week by about 10%, 10 to 15%, maybe 15% in the beginning, but then as you increase the kilometers, maybe only 10% each time up. And then that will kind of give you that realistic timeline. If you're doing 30 kilometers a week, you're probably going to want to be doing maybe 60 to 70 kilometers a week before you attempt that marathon. And if your goal is to run it well, then I think you're always going to be pushing anyway. So you might say you want to run it well, but you're going to want to get the best time that you can.
Yeah. So yeah,
I hope that helps. But I think slowly working your way up is probably the best way.
Yeah, slowly, consistency, everything like that.
Yeah.
Next question, I think a lot of trail runners can relate to. It's a bit of a funny one as well. How do you pick the best place for a bush poo while trail running? Asking for a friend. We all ask for friends, but where would you say you would?
Yeah, so
Hey,
this
that's the best
kind of
spot.
goes with the theme of the episode, with the secrets that we keep. Not many people talk about the bush poo that they got to do, but my key takeaways and my key tips for a good place to pick for a bush poo is trying to find somewhere that's bushy, trying to find a big tree, trying to find somewhere where you can dig a hole with your foot. And maybe just go off the beaten track a little bit if you really need to. Otherwise, hold on for dear life and get home. If you're in suburbia or in a city, maybe map out where the toilets are before you go for your run. So that's probably my advice on trying to find a good place to do a bush poo.
No, you summed that up really well. I think definitely in our local town, Banner, it's hard to find a place because you don't want to be caught on the camera. But yeah, mapping your route out. Also, just taking a little bag of toilet paper, I find is
Just
always
in case
key.
of an emergency.
Just always, it's great for an emergency toilet paper bag. But yeah, like Dad said, find a really nice isolated place, dig a little hole, and
Yeah, so
go for life.
be mindful of other people and things like that. But yeah, ideally maybe go to the toilet before you go for that run too.
Yep.
Okay, so the next one was for me. Timmy took part in some massive challenges this year, Down Under and King of the Hill, but left some big ones on the table in Decal Gully and Biggs. For anyone that doesn't know, they're both backyard ultras. Is there any FOMO, and how did you come up with the decision to do the events that you did? So essentially, Down Under, it was going to be the last year that they were doing Down Under. So I thought I want to jump on board for that. I'd finished it 2 times before, going for a third time in a row. Didn't happen, but I did love that event. And King of the Hill, I did that instead of Biggs, mainly because we had some family stuff on. Other family members had things going on. Our daughter was away, and I wanted to be there for her when we had a visiting weekend. So I chose King of the Hill, which I'm rapt that I did because we had an epic experience at King of the Hill, and I absolutely loved it. I did have FOMO when I missed out on Decal Gully and Biggs because there was a heap of friends and competitors that went 100+ hours, and that's somewhere where I'd like to see myself in the future. Unfortunately, that didn't happen for me.
They also had live streams.
They had the live stream
conveniently on both events. So
yeah,
you were on the couch all week.
I know. Yeah, it was like a 5-day FOMO fest. So that was terrible.
Well, leading from Backyard Ultras, another listener question was, how do you start with Backyard Ultras, and what's a good one to start?
Yeah, I think the local one is probably the one that you should start with. And starting out, start small. You'd be surprised how far you'll get. It is like we've mentioned it on the podcast before, it's a slow grind, but you'll get to a half marathon or a marathon pretty quickly, and you'll surprise yourself because it is a run walk, and to get distance goals and things like that, backyard ultras are awesome for it.
Yeah, I don't think it's very fast whatsoever, but it can be as well. So it's such a cool concept, backyard ultras, because yeah, you can go fast, you can go slow, but yeah, it's a great concept to
Yeah, but definitely your local one's probably the best one to start.
Yeah.
Don't go halfway across the country to do a backyard ultra unless you want to go to one of these massive ones that have got like 500.
Well, not
500
even that
people.
as well with like a lot of the elites. If you want to meet these elites, it's amazing in
Yeah.
this sport that we get the opportunity to.
Yeah, maybe not your most local one. If you hear that you want to run with some people and you know that Phil Gore's going to one or something like that, then yeah, maybe sign up to that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he runs it a lot as well, so
Yeah.
good opportunities.
Yep. We had a question about tailwind. We do mention tailwind a lot because we do use it. Does tailwind give you wind out the tail end? Which is a funny question. If you're experiencing wind out the tail end, it may not just be the tailwind. I think it's just running in general makes you fart a bit.
Yeah.
So that's probably
Well, it gives me wind to run faster.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it gives you a bit of more of
Energy.
A tailwind.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's always good to have a little bit of a fart because release a lot of stuff. But
Yeah, well, it also doesn't get you bloated as well. So don't hold it in. Do you find that? Like, remember
Yes.
when you used to get really bloated? I used to say, "Oh, maybe do a burp or a fart or something like that."
I
Don't
find
hold it in.
burping is amazing, especially when I'm drinking tailwind. I need a burp. And
Yeah. Well, air goes in, and then you're mixing it with fluids and foods and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, you do get a little bit gassy. So you got to be careful of that.
Okay. Next one. How does it feel to be the second best runner in the Kaprazak household?
Oh, that's convenient that you asked to give me that. How
Well,
does it
in what
feel?
way though? Who is
Who
is-
asked it? Or who's
no
the-
who is the second best?
I think that they're referring to me being the second best Kaprazak in the house.
Maybe 5K runner.
Yeah, or maybe, yeah.
Maybe five
Look,
to 50.
I don't. Yeah, I don't really necessarily. It doesn't bother me. I'm actually pretty proud that you're a better runner than me, so it makes me pretty pumped. But I did beat you up the Yangs the other day, so I haven't lost that hill running title just
I
yet.
did say to that. I'm like, I'm going to beat your crown one day up this,
Yeah.
and my whole heart, I believe I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think. How does it feel, honestly?
It feels fine. I don't feel like any. I don't feel any different, to be quite honest.
Well, honestly, if this is, I know it might be directed at you, but if it was directed at me, I wouldn't care, honestly.
You wouldn't care.
Yeah, I'm just happy that you're better.
Yeah. Well, I think I think my time is almost up anyway. So
No.
yeah, it probably is. All right, cool. So we're going to do our quote of the week now, but we do have a surprise. We do have our winner of naming our quote of the week segment, and the quote of the week segment is now going to be named "Don't Quote Me on That." So we loved all the responses that we've got, and we'll be sending that listener a Better By Next Week hat. We'll find out whether they want a cap or a bucket hat. But Ollie, what is your "Don't Quote Me on That" quote for the week?
Oh, that's weird to name. What's your quote of the week? Okay, so mine is: success isn't final, failure isn't fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. I think this quote is really special because it acknowledges both sides that failure isn't fatal. So it's not the end of the world if you fail. But on the other side, success is not final. So you don't stop when you succeed. You keep going, you keep pushing those limits. And it relates back to that continue, the courage to continue is what counts. And it truly is, because that's where all the hard work is gained. That's where you look back in your days and you go, wow, I'm glad I did that. It's not the, oh my God, I ran that race, I won that race. And it's not, and you look back at the failures and the courage to continue, and that's what you're proud of.
Yeah, 100%. Like your actual goal that you set is not the end of the road. So you're always kind of working past that. And once you actually realize that that's what you're doing, it's the journey that you're enjoying and the failures and the things that you learn, and you keep moving past it, then you end up enjoying it a hell of a lot more because you're not trying to control it. That's kind of leads into so don't quote me on this, but if your peace depends on everything going right, then that's not peace. That's actually control. And what I really learned from that quote was that a lot of the things that we think are giving us peace are actually controlling us. for example, that example of the runner finishing his run and stopping his watch and it being 9.97 kilometers, you're actually under the control of your own prison in your mind that it needs to be, say, 10 kilometers. So essentially what you got to try and do is understand what things are controlling you and what things actually give you peace. And letting go is all part of that so that nothing controls you in that way.
Yeah, that's actually a very good way to put it. I think that, and Dad said this to me earlier on in the week. I'm like, that's so true, because I think a lot of us find that we're trying to control things and make it perfect, but
And that's what gives us the peace, but it actually
it's
doesn't.
not. It's just letting go. It's going with the flow of things. It's I've been reading a book, the is it Tao or
The Tao of Pooh.
the Tao of Pooh, and it goes through beautiful concepts of life and how to be just happy and in present moment in every situation. And Pooh is a great example of that. So
Yeah.
if you have a chance to read it, honestly, like I
Yeah, it's
recommend
good.
it.
It's the characters in there actually represent different
Well, it's like a
characteristics.
Chinese
Proverb,
concept,
yeah.
proverbs and concepts of things, and how Pooh and the characters in that book reflect that.
Yeah, and how we all should be a little bit more like Pooh.
Yeah,
a little bit more
it's
relaxed.
amazing. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, how about we get into our Better By Next Week challenge? Let's bring this one across the finish line.
Yeah, I think that's a great one.
All right. So do you want me to go first?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I really like this one. And it's something that I always do it myself during race week. And what I want you to do, because next week we've got the all new review coming up. I want you to create a superstition that you'll then follow from now until however long. So for me, my little superstition run before an event is I like to do a 10-kilometer run at the Yangs up the hill and come back down on a Monday before my race week. So what I want you to do, and the listeners, is to create a superstition, obviously at the start of the week, that will help you in the future, where it's almost like a trigger. It's like, this is race week, and it begins from that moment. So for you, it's obviously race week. For some listeners that don't have a race, maybe set a goal early in the week. It might be, you know what, I'm going to do a yoga session every single Monday, or I'm going to start with some stretching on a Monday morning. So create a superstition around it that it makes you better, and so that you find yourself connected to that trigger.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that as well, because you'll find that a lot of NBA players have like pre-game rituals, and it just gets them into that zone, that mode, that this is game day.
Yeah, so that I thought this was going to be an awesome challenge. It's just that snap, it's just that trigger. For me, like I say, every time I do this superstitious run, I tend to have a pretty good race. So,
well, I've got a little bit of a funky Better By Next Week challenge. So my Better By Next Week challenge for you this week is to, on a session where you might use a specific shoe for speed, I want you to use a shoe that you wouldn't normally use for speed. So this might look like in your strides, where you're using a super fast shoe that you think, translate that over to a slow shoe that you might use on easy days. And I want to see if you still hit the same paces, because I think we've built up this perspective that these shoes that we wear make us faster, when it's not. It's our own body. It's us. We're the machine that's powering this speed. I'm not talking about going to the extent of wearing super shoes, Alpha Flies on the most technical trails you can ever find. I'm talking about it can be as simple as your strides, just switch into some slower shoes and see whether or not you're still hitting those paces.
okay, so you're just trying to see whether the shoes actually matter as much as what we think they do.
Yeah.
So I might get my New Balance Moors that are real chunky marshmallow shoes.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And then trying to do strides in them. Yeah, I think that's a great challenge. And it will shift the perspective in your mind to think, hang on, are the shoes making that much of a difference, or is it like...
I think you should give yourself a little bit more credit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 100%. I think that some people buy those fancy $400-$500 pair of shoes and think that they're going to make all the difference, and often it's the body that you've built around.
Don't get me wrong; it's an add-on to what you've built, but majority of this speed and
performance
performance is coming from yourself.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I reckon that's pretty cool. Listeners can take that away.
Yeah.
And if you really enjoyed the episode, give us a 5-star review on Spotify. That'd be great. Like and share and subscribe. I'm sorry that we preach like this, but at the end of the day, it has allowed us to get some epic brand partners on board for the all new review, which comes next week. And we can't wait to do all the giveaways. And if you do see any of the stuff, post, comment, subscribe. We'll give you all the details for all those giveaways. And yeah, we can't wait to get all that stuff out, hopefully before Christmas. So, thanks for listening.
Just